Good afternoon. My name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mikasa Sukasa, and I urge you all to join our One Follow, $1 campaign, where we show the mainstream media we do not any longer need them because, well, they are liars. They are filthy, dirty, rotten liars, and they do not care about you. Okay? They don't care. So, if join, and I'm going to explain why in a second. I'm laughing, but it's because this most recent incident is kind of so clear and so obvious that they don't care, that we need good independent journalists who are going to report the truth based off of facts and evidence, and even though they may have certain political leanings, at least it's not based off of a corporate benefit system. It's based off of their own opinions and how they interpret the facts. So join our One Follow, $1 campaign. Today we're going to talk about the unfortunate situation with the Aaron Hernandez trial, and more importantly at this point, the suicide of Aaron Hernandez and how it could be possibly linked to CTE. Now, as you all know, Aaron Hernandez was actually found out to have been in stage 3 of 4 stages of CTE. Now, this is pretty significant because he was 27 years old. However, when he ended up in jail, ladies and gentlemen, he was about 24 or 25, which means that he'd been in stage 3 of CTE, because obviously this came mostly from football, even while he was still very young in the NFL. Now, there were certain sports commentators who talked about this, and it was very dismissive, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The truth of the matter is, they said, "Oh, CTE is dangerous," but he was still a murderer, he was still a gangster, he was still this, he was still that. Was Aaron Hernandez hardened because of his past, because of the lack of, he lost his father very young, he was around the wrong people, he ended up around the wrong people because of that, trying to protect himself in a very bad area. Yes, he was troubled. But there are a lot of troubled people in the NFL who don't commit murder. There are a lot of troubled people in general. I was troubled myself. I didn't commit murder. And to pretend that CTE has absolutely nothing whatsoever, or could possibly, because we don't know for a fact, but to pretend like it could absolutely have zero to do with what Aaron Hernandez did would be negligent, and it would be ignorant, and it could mean a ridiculous amount of trouble for the league. And I'm going to explain why. So, what CTE does is it kind of coerces people into acting out of character. So, for example, a player named Junior Seau ended up killing himself because of CTE, but unfortunately, CTE can't be diagnosed until after someone passes away, and therefore we didn't know that he had CTE until he died. Now, this isn't the only player who's done this, but here's what is also interesting. There was an argument used on the show called First Take, where they say everyone else who's had CTE hurts themselves, they don't hurt anyone else. But how could we know that? Because, once again, every situation isn't like Aaron Hernandez, and every situation isn't the extreme of Junior Seau. Domestic violence in the NFL has gone up incredibly over the last 5 to 10 years. And we don't know if CTE of course it has something to do with the culture of the NFL. But once again, if you combine, for example, CTE with bipolar disorder, because Aaron Hernandez did suffer from other mental illnesses as well. He was actively taking medication when he passed away. But once again, we don't know how these medications interact with CTE. If he was already depressed, if he was already bipolar, if he was already schizophrenic, combined with CTE, this could actually be a very valid explanation as to why some people viewed him as this upstanding citizen who can never hurt a fly, and then when he left, it was like a totally different person depending on who he was around. And that's actually, believe it or not, one of the symptoms of CTE. But my point is, this uptick in violence in the NFL, and this irrational behavior, like with Ray Rice, where when he was apologizing, he was very sincere in his apology. He accepted his punishment, but he said it was like it wasn't myself. I wasn't myself. Same thing. And he's not the only one. If you've ever looked in the eyes of one Greg Hardy, he's been playing football his entire life as well. The dude is an animal. He's insane. But it's not. He just looks. If you look in his eyes, he's not all there. And it's a lot of these positions that have a lot of helmet-to-helmet contact regularly. Tight end, defensive ends, just linebackers, running backs, quarterbacks that are highly protected, but players that got a lot of helmet-to-helmet contact. And this could, obviously, we know the NFL is constantly hiding things. We know that about the concussions, about CTE, all of that. And they just swept this under the rug and moved on so quickly, but they'll dwell on something about Colin Kaepernick or about Tom Brady or about Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning or Ben Roethlisberger for weeks at a time. This is not something you can sweep under the rug when you find out a player who was acting out of character. Yeah, I'm not saying that he was the best guy ever, but a lot of guys in the league, like Kevin Garnett in the NBA, was a bad guy. Not really a bad guy, but he was trouble when he was young. He openly admits it. He didn't kill anybody. He never even hurt anybody once he got to the NBA because he realized the opportunity he had in front of him. And Aaron Hernandez is very similar. He had all the opportunity in the world in front of him, and even when he killed himself, he just won an appeal. It looked like he was going to win the next appeal because the information that had been disseminated to the courts was given by a source that was deemed incredulous. So why would he then kill himself? Because he wasn't in his right mind. So the NFL absolutely cannot ignore this because it could be linked to a lot of the violence, whether it be self-inflicted or violence that's inflicted on their significant others or each other. A lot of that stuff could be coming from CTE. And after a while, we've seen all the negatives in the NFL recently, how their viewership is going down for one reason or another. It's already was declining anyway. It seems like they're getting their comeuppance because they can't hide this stuff for long. And I just had to bring this back up because it isn't something that which we should be ignoring. It really, really is not. This is very serious. We'd love to know your opinions about this. Please like, share, and comment below. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, find your balance. Have a good afternoon.